Good evening, everyone. You've tuned into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As GetMusic.com and RollingStone.com bring you an exclusive audio chat with epic recording artist Michael Jackson. The King of Pop will be sitting down with acclaimed journalist Anthony DeCurtis to talk about his new album Invincible and take your questions. In the meantime, you can pre-order a copy of his brand new album Invincible at store.getmusic.com, or to listen to it in its entirety before release, go to michaeljackson.com. So sit back and relax. The live audio chat with Michael Jackson will begin shortly.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Anthony DeCurtis. You're on GetMusic.com, and we're here tonight for a very special event. The King of Pop, one of the greatest artists in the history of popular music, Michael Jackson, is going to be joining us. He has a new record coming out on October 30th. It's called Invisible. You can check it out at michaeljackson.com. You could pre-order it at getmusic.com. Michael, it's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Well, tell us a little bit about the new album. You know, it's your first new record in 6 years. Do you still get excited when you have something come out? Obviously, you've accomplished so much over the years. You know, do you still feel that, like, wow, I wonder what people are going to think, or, you know, feel all of that kind of anticipation?
I kind of parallel to it's like the gestation process of birth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, it's like having children, and having to raise them and bring them out into the world. And once they get into the world, they're on their own. So it's very exciting. I mean, you never get too used to it ever. It's an incredible process, But you leave it in the hands of God, like you do when you're having a child.
Absolutely. We've got our questions already beginning to pour in from your fans on the Internet. We've got Electric Eyes Mail writing in. It says, Michael, you are, in my mind, the greatest artist of all time, the true king of pop, rock, and soul. And he wants to know, what is your favorite song on the new album?
My favorite song on the new album, can I pick two?
Oh, yeah, I think you could do that. You can pretty much do whatever you like.
It would probably be Unbreakable. I'll pick three. Unbreakable, Speechless, and The Lost Children.
Tell us about a couple of those tracks. You know, what was it like working with special guests, or were you working with new producers, or how you wrote them? Just something that gives us some flavor.
Well, the songwriting process is something that's very difficult to explain because it's very spiritual. It's you really just in the hands of God, and it's as if it's been written already. That's the real truth. As if it's been written in its entirety before you were born, and you're just really the source through which the songs come, really, because they just fall right into your lap in its entirety. You don't have to do much thinking about it. And I feel guilty having to put my name sometime on the songs that I do write them, and I compose them, I write them, I do the scoring, I do the lyrics, I do the melodies, but still it's the work of God.
Samantha from Canada just sent us in a question. She would like to know, how would you describe the sound on Invincible, and have you incorporated any other genres into the album?
Well, the sound is, sonically, we always try to make sure we have, pristine, detailed, the best sound, the best engineers, the best technicians available. And, of course, I tried to make the album a potpourri of just wonderful melodies of any style, because I don't believe in stylizing or branding any type of music. I think a great artist should be able to just create any style, any form, anything, from rock to pop to folk to gospel to spiritual to just wonderful music.
Mm-hmm.
Where anybody can sing it, from the Irish farmer to a lady who scrubbed toilets in Harlem. If you can whistle it and hum it, that's the most important thing.
Now, when you're working, do you find, are you in a mode where you like to listen to a lot of other music, or you're listening to the radio or maybe picking up people's CDs? Or when you're working, do you like to just kind of shut it all out and concentrate, intently on what you're doing?
Well, I pretty much I always know what's going on the radio and in clubs, what people are listening to, even though people think I live at Neverland. I'm in Neverland all the time, but I'm always connected. I always know what's going on in the music world all the time, not just in America, but internationally, all over the world. And when I'm working, though, I don't think I'm influenced by a lot of the music today. I pretty much create what I think is in my heart. I'm very original. I try to be as original as possible. I don't say, okay, I'm going to make this a great kind of R&B song or a great pop song. I just want to make a great song.
Like the song takes its own form.
Yeah, yes.
Well, Amber here on the Internet offers you lots of love and wonders if it was fun for you to make the You Rock My World video.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. We stayed up all night working very hard. It was fun hearing it blasted on the set on really big speakers. That's one of my favorite things, is hearing the music really loud, because I like to play music loud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's if you play something over, the internet or small speakers, it doesn't have the same punch. That's why you have to buy it.
Uh-huh.
You have to buy that CD to really hear that punch. It makes a huge difference. Huge difference. There's no comparison. So buying the CD is the best thing, No comparison. So you don't hear all the sounds if you hear it on a smaller system.
And when you're out on the video set, you're able to just kind of crank it up as loud as you want?
As loud as I want.
Very good. Well, we have Matthew from Manitoba, Canada, writing in. He says, I just saw Ghosts on MTV. As always, you were awesome, Michael. Do you have any plans on releasing it as a DVD in America?
Yes, it will be released as a DVD in America in its entirety, and some of the making of Ghosts. And that was one of my most favorite things I've ever done, because it's been a dream of mine for a long time to do something that's kind of scary, but, comical at the same time, and just all the elements of just fun. Because I don't want to scare people to the point where they're afraid to go to sleep. I want it to have a little sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And within the laughter there is a tear, So it's just fun, These ghosts, they weren't really scary. They were fun. They walked up the ceilings. Little kids were laughing at them. So it was fun. We didn't want to horrify them. But we gave this fat man, this mayor, his justice for coming into my house, which was public, private property, judging me,
Absolutely. We have Cloud Lee 2000, who writes in and wonders, why did you name the album Invincible?
Well, Invincible is something that I think was the proper name. It's one of the cuts on the album. And I've been an artist, not to pat myself on the back, but the Guinness Book of World Records just enlisted me another time as the artist who's had the longest stretch career since I've been a little kid to this point, with still hit records and number one records. And I'm so proud and honored that I've been chosen from the heavens or whatever it is to be invincible and to just continue to grow and to be, serve the people with wonderful entertainment.
Now, one of the kind of conventional wisdom these days in the music industry is, audiences don't really have an attention span anymore. If an artist stays away for too long, their audience wanders off and goes somewhere else. Was that a concern of yours, with coming out in a record and taking a while to work on Invincible, or do you, are you convinced that your fan base is still there and will be as strong as ever? When you ask me this question, it has never concerned me once, and I've never thought of it, because I've always known if music is truly great, or if a movie is truly great, people want to see it or hear it. Mm-hmm. No matter how long you've been away, or whatever the situation is, greatness is greatness, and if you really do a good job on what you're doing, people want to hear it, or they want to see it. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
long as you're an innovator and a pioneer, and that's the most important thing. Give them what they want to hear.
Now, Slim's Lady 420 US sends in a question and wonders, which song on the Invincible album do you think you personally relate to the most?
Unbreakable.
Talk a bit about that track. Now, you mentioned it a couple of times. I'm getting really curious about it. What could you tell us about it?
Because I'm one of the few people probably in show business that have been through the ins and outs, of so many different things. I've been through hell and back. I have, to be honest, and still I'm able to do what I do, and nothing can stop me. No one can stop me, no matter what. I stop when I'm ready to stop, and I'm just saying, I will continue to move forward no matter what.
Now we have Warful writes in, are you working or planning to do any more short films for Invincible, specifically for the really fast tracks, such as 2,000 Watts, Heartbreaker, Unbreakable, and Invincible?
Absolutely. And she said, whoever said that said the right word, and they said short film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we try to make them, short films, a beginning, a middle, and an ending of a story, to take the medium to a new level. But absolutely, there's like just an array of an encyclopedia of just great short films to make from the album. It's very exciting. I can't wait to do Threatened, which is the kind of scary one with Rod Serling from The Twilight Zone.
Fantastic.
I can't wait to get my hands on that one.
We have a question here from Napoleon III. Says his name is George, really. And then it says, Michael, I think this is your most cohesive and impressive album since Thriller, or really off the wall. What are some of your most memorable moments while recording the tracks for this album?
The most memorable moments were, of all my albums, I would say this one was the toughest, because I was hardest on myself. I wrote so many songs, I don't even want to say the number. just to get to, how many are on there, 16? Just to get to the 16 that I think are acceptable. And it's the album where I didn't have children before the other albums, so I caught a lot of colds, so I was sick a lot. Because my children had colds.
Right, little incubators of viruses.
So we had to stop, and start again, stop and start, and it was a tough one. But I've enjoyed it very, very much.
Now, when you describe yourself as being tough on yourself during the recording process, how does that, what is the process that you go to? If you think something isn't quite what it ought to be, or maybe you could do better, or you hear maybe you want to move something in a new direction, what is that like?
If I truly told you, I don't know if the fans would like me anymore. I've had musicians who really get angry with me because I'll make them do something literally several hundred to 1,000 times until it's what I want it to be. But then afterwards, they'll call me back on the phone and they'll apologize and they'll say, you were absolutely right. I've never played better. I've never done better work. I outdid myself, is what they'll say. And I said, that's the way it should be because you've immortalized yourself. This is here forever. It's a time capsule. It's like Michelangelo's work. It's like the Sistine Chapel. It's here forever. And everything we do should be that way,
So try to bring it to the best possible standard that it can be.
Absolutely.
Now, Sweet Pea 4286 wonders, are there any surprises on the new album?
Any surprises? Boy. I think it is what it is, and you can interpret it the way you want to interpret it. But that's all I can say about that. Other than some, maybe we'll be releasing some surprise CD singles at some point, something like that. Yeah, in the future though, that's coming up.
Very good. I wanted to ask you, just as a performer, recently you've done a couple of shows. You did a couple at Madison Square Garden, and you did a show at RFK Stadium, a benefit concert. And, obviously, you live performance has been one of the things that has distinguished you, throughout your career. And you'd been off stage for a while. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what it was like to be out there again in front of an audience and, getting that opportunity to perform again.
It was hard to explain. It was quite exciting to feel the audience and to see them and to be accepted so warmly by them. It's just an incredible feeling. It really is. They're there to support you and to love you and to hear their favorite songs, and just stand there and they're just, giving you so much adulation and love and hysteria. It's just full of love. It's wonderful. It's very emotional. It brings me to tears. It's wonderful.
I remember in your book you described that, like, sometimes on stage is when you feel the most alive, that those are the moments that, really are the most transporting for you.
It is. Just being off stage is difficult for me. Being on stage, either writing music or writing poetry and being on stage and watching cartoons are my favorite things to do in the entire world.
Uh-huh.
That's what brings me to life. I love that. That's what inspires me to do what I do,
Excellent. We have a question here from someone's calling himself the best dancer in the world. Well, we got you on the line. I'm not sure that we might have to contest that a little bit. But anyway, the best dancer in the world wants to know. MichaelJackson.com said that Jay-Z will appear with you on the new album. Is that true?
No, but we are talking about doing something in the future together.
Is Jay-Z an artist whose work you've liked, or as a person? Have you spent time with him? What's your impressions of him?
I think he's excellent. He's incredible rhythms, counter rhythms, and he's just one of the newer contemporary artists that the kids really love. He's really, really great.
We have a question here from Sweden. Tony from Sweden writes in and says, "Hi, Michael. You're the most amazing artist of all times. I just love your music. Do you want to tour, and will you do a world tour or a European tour?"
We haven't thought about it much right now, but I don't want to say it's not in the works. We're concentrating on a lot of different things right now, so I can't quite say.
Fine. I wanted to ask you...
You know what? In the near future, I'm sure there'll be something that'll come up. In the near future.
People should keep their eyes open for announcements on that front. We have a question from Nuria. Describes him or herself as a 32-year-old Spanish fan writing from Los Angeles. Would like to know if you have any plans to release any of your songs in Invincible in Spanish or any other language besides English.
As of now, we haven't, but that would be a great thing to do. We haven't written that off because it's a big market. So that's a great possibility.
Especially for someone like yourself who has a big international following. For many people, their following is in England or in the U.S., but your following is very international, obviously.
Thank you.
Talk a bit. One of the things that was kind of a little bit of a sensation this year was Alien Ant Farm's cover of Smooth Criminal. I wanted to see if you'd paid attention to it, and if you enjoyed it, or how you felt about it.
I saw it and fell in love with it.
Excellent.
I loved it. I said, I just got to have this come out. So they wanted my permission. I saw it, and I approved it, gave it a AAA, said, go right ahead.
Fantastic. It must be interesting as a songwriter, to have other people, do your songs or come up with another interpretation. What is that like?
It's a great compliment. It's a wonderful compliment. It makes you feel worthy and that your music is reaching all the different generations, and all the different, everybody's out there listening, and that makes me very happy.
Now, we have a question from Canada. Gary, who is 19, writes in, what other artists did you collaborate with on Invincible?
What other artists did I collaborate on Invincible? Let me see. Who is there?
Do you have any special guests?
We have Carlos Santana.
Fabulous.
He and I have done like a duet, and he plays the guitar and I sing, and it's something that we've written, and it's really, really a nice song.
Now, had you known him from, over time, or just did you meet him recently?
I've met him before, but we've been talking a lot on the phone recently. So after winning his Grammy Awards, he said to the press that he would like to meet me and he's ready to work with me. So everybody's been telling me that, and I called him up, and he said he really would, that would be his dream come true. And he is the nicest man. He is so kind and so spiritual. I found him to be so humble, so I said to myself, we have to make this work.
And so you wrote a song together?
Well, there's a song that myself and two other people wrote, and he was a part of it. And whatever happens.
Oh, okay. We have a question from Anicia. It says, Michael, are you a fan of Chris Tucker? She describes it being in your recent video.
I'm a huge, huge fan of Chris Tucker. He makes me laugh so hard. I've seen all of his films, and he's just a funny guy. And I like people who can make you laugh without using vulgarity or bad words. It's just, and for the kids, they're for all demographics, all the corners of the earth, and he's just a funny guy.
Absolutely. We have another question from Canada. Tony, who's 17 from Canada, writes, and wonders, how long does it take you to produce a song from the initial conception to the final recording and editing phase?
Well,
I guess it probably varies from.
It does vary, and for me, it's really different than most artists, because I'll do a couple of songs. It could be 5, 6, 7, or 8, or 10 of them, and throw them all away and start over. So that's a difficult question to ask me.
I wonder is there maybe a specific song on the album, say Invincible, how long, when do you remember like getting the first inspiration for that song, and then maybe the day when you finally said, you know what, this is it, I've got it exactly the way I want it?
Song Invincible itself? Yes. I remember having the guys go back in and create more innovative, because we don't, this is our thing, we don't put a lot of sounds on the album that are sounds from keyboards that are, pretty much programmed into the machine. Go out and make our own sound. Hit on things, we beat on things, so nobody can duplicate what we do. We make them with our own hands. We find things and we create things. And that's the most important thing to me, to be a pioneer, be an innovator.
Absolutely. Now we have Vernay, who writes to us from Newark, Delaware, in the good old USA. And Vernay says, I'm so pleased with the new album, but I was particularly touched by Speechless. What was your inspiration for this song?
Speechless was inspired to me by, I spent a lot of time in the forest. I like to go into the forest, and I like to climb trees. My favorite thing is to climb trees. I go all the way up to the top of a tree, and I look down on the branches. Whenever I do that, it inspires me for music. And there are these two sweet little kids, a girl and a boy, and they're so innocent. They're the quintessential form of innocence. And just being in their presence, I felt completely speechless, because I felt I was looking in the face of God whenever I saw them. And they inspired me to write Speechless.
Well, and that answer actually might touch on this next question which we have, which wonders, where do you look for inspiration when you write your songs? Does inspiration come from a variety of different places?
Well, the best songs that are written write themselves. You don't ask for them. They just drop into your lap. Then there are those songs that, you kind of incubate. You plant the seed, let the subconscious take its course, and within time you hope something comes, and most of the time it does. I don't believe in the concept of writer's block. That is a bad word. You create it when you say it. There's no such thing. Like any painter or sculptor, they paint, they do their best work when they're in their 60s and their 70s. Fred Astaire did his best dancing when he was in his 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Angelo sculpted late into his 60s and 70s, doing brilliant, ingenious work. But in the music business, some of these great artists have become stumped because they've self-abused themselves in their young age so early with all these crazy things they drink and pills and things, and that's just not good.
Right.
Just not a good thing. Hate to say that to hurt anybody, but we should take care of our bodies a little more.
No, I think a lot of people realize, that they've damaged themselves. Many people have talked about it in recent years,
Yeah.
We have a question from Alan here who asks if you think that Rodney Jerkins and you have created a new sound for 2001.
The song 2000 what?
He says, do you feel that you and Rodney Jerkins, of course the producer, have created a new sound for 2001?
2001?
Yes.
Oh, that would be a nice thought, yes.
What was it like working with him? How did you guys meet, and how did your collaboration go?
He was this guy who went around Hollywood and around the industry saying his dream is to work with me, to everybody. I was at Carol Sager's house, who's this great songwriter, won several Academy Awards for her songwriting, and she said, there's a guy you should work with. His name is Rodney Jerkins. He's been crying to me, begging to meet you. I mean, why don't you pick up the phone and you say hi to him? And he came over that day and he said, please, my dream is to work with you. He said, just give me 2 weeks and I'll see what I can come up with. And we ended up working together.
What were your impressions of him? Like, as just somebody did. What did he bring? What did you feel that his contribution was?
His contribution was he loves to create in the same kind of way that I like to create. But I push Rodney.
Mm-hmm.
I push and push and push and push him to create, to innovate more, to pioneer more. He's a real musician. He is a real musician, and he's very dedicated, and he's real loyal, and he has perseverance. I don't think I've seen perseverance like his than anyone, because you can push him, and he doesn't get angry. He's just a great guy. He really is.
That's a great compliment.
And Teddy Riley is just incredible. He's innovative too. I love working with him.
And you had worked with him in the past, of course.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite. As a human being, he's one of my favorite people in the world. He's just a really sweet, kind guy. And Rodney's very funny. You laugh all day when you're with him. When he turns his music up in the studio and he starts dancing around the room, it's just funny.
I'd like to remind everyone you're on Get Music. We're here talking with Michael Jackson, whose new album, Invincible, is out on October 30th. You can check it out at michaeljackson.com. You can pre-order it on Get Music. Now, we have a question from It's Jackson, who is really named Rachel from Connecticut. Wonders, do you have any new dance moves that you've invented while you were making your album?
For the first time working on any album, I put a halt to dancing because I was just so engrossed and so infatuated with what I was doing. I did something that was very unusual. But once the music started playing, of course, I started to dance. But it's starting to now create itself. And with the music playing, I'm coming up with some new things. But that's coming in the future with the newer short films. They'll be seeing all kind of new, innovative things in movement that have never been seen before. We'll go places, where we've never gone and danced before. Because all the hip-hop things that are happening now beginning to look like aerobics. Is kind of getting annoying.
We have a question from Simon, who, you've obviously mentioned, all the people who have wanted to work with you. He wonders, Michael, who would you love to do a duet with, past or present?
it would be somebody like, I would say Sarah Vaughan or Nat King Cole. Present,
Fantastic.
I think Whitney Houston is brilliant, and Barbra Streisand has a beautiful voice. You know, those kind of artists that are just wonderful.
What's your impression of some of the artists who have come on the scene just in recent years? You know, people like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, you know, young pop stars who are obviously hugely popular. You know, obviously, you know, Britney participated in your show at the Garden. You know, what was your sense about her?
I think for the new breed that are coming up, they're doing a very good job. And what impressed me more about any of these artists, like Spears and Christina, they're so determined.
Absolutely.
I've heard about the way they work. They'll work on a dance step, I mean, like for months. And to get it right, you know, they're just so determined. And I've met Britney several times, and she was very sweet and humble. She came to my room, and we quietly talked for a couple of hours. And she was just like a Barbie doll, just very sweet, very kind.
I imagine that someone like you would be kind of interesting and important resource for her. You know, as someone who was, you know, a star when you were so young. I mean, when I don't think people necessarily understand what a kind of strange reality that is. You know, within all the acclaim and the fame and the excitement, you know, to be a kid and have all that attention focused on you must be kind of scary. Also, did you find it that way in your own experience?
Yeah, because wherever I go, I disguise myself now, but now I can't, especially, you know, what's going on in the world. So I don't wear a disguise, and people, they really go crazy. They're very happy to see you. Mm-hmm. It's feel as if they know you, and you have to respond back to them like you know them.
Right.
They feel they personally know you. That my pictures are on their walls, you know, my music is playing in their house, so they grab you and they snatch you and they touch you so I just respond back with hugs and loves and kisses because I truly love my fans, truly from the heart. That's the real truth. I love them, and the ones who are like if we go to a certain country and they're outside they're sleeping on the street and I throw them pillows and cover and everything, and I have my security guards buy them pizza so they can all eat and. We get them candles, and, you know, we really take care of them. They're very, very, very sweet and supportive.
Sam, who is 20 years old and from Texas here in the U.S., wonders, will you release Butterflies as a single that's one of your best songs?
Butterflies is the single that's released now. It's the single now. Someone, thank you very much.
Great. What other, you know, plans do you have, you know, when you, you know, as somebody who's been a kind of innovator, you know, in terms of making short films to accompany your songs, you know, do you conceptualize all that ahead of time, or, you know, do you decide on a kind of step-by-step basis, you know, this is going to be the next single, and I want to make, you know, a kind of visual statement to accompany it? You know, how does that all proceed?
As far as the short film itself?
Yeah.
Well, I let the song pretty much speak to me, and I get in a room, and I pretty much start making notes. Then I'll speak to a writer like Stephen King and myself. We both of us wrote Ghost, short film Ghost, and we just on the telephone started writing it, and let it create itself and go where it wants to go. But we try to do things that are very unusual. And it's not an easy thing to do because you have to time it with the song, and you can't spend too much time, and the special effects can take 5 months sometimes to execute. So it's not a difficult thing. And the record company is saying, come on, we have to go. So I understand. So we try to do the best we can in the amount of time that we can execute it in.
We have a question now. Helen from Scotland says, if you could only perform one of your songs for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Ooh, it would probably be, if I could pick more than one, if I could pick 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think we can go that far.
Heal the World, Speechless, But that's a difficult one. I think, You Are My Life.
It sounded you went for the ones that are the kind of the biggest statements in a way, it seems to me.
Yeah, because it's important that they're very melodic and that they have a great, important message that's kind of immortal, that can relate to any time and space, you know?
One of the things, actually, I wanted to ask you is, we've, had these, horrible terrorist attacks here in New York City and in Washington, D.C. What is the role that you feel, artists can play in the wake of something like that? You did that benefit show in Washington. Is there, in music and can artists do something to, help people, get through with what for many of us has been a very difficult time?
Yeah, you give of yourself. You give of your talent, of your ability, the talent that was given you by the heavens. That's why we're here. To bring a sense of escapism in time of need. And if you're a painter, you paint. If you're a sculptor, you sculpt. If you're a writer, you write. If you're a songwriter, you give song. If you're a dancer, you give dance. You give people some love and some bliss, some escapism, and to show that you truly care from the heart and be there for them. Not just from a distance, but show you truly care. Take the long mile and be there for them. And that's what I did, and many others who cared and helped, and it's an important thing.
We have a question now from Chili Boy, who wonders, he always wanted to know, how do you come up with the dance move, and how long does it take for you to, put the choreography for a song together?
I pretty much just get in a room and I start to dance, and I don't create the dance creates itself, really. I'll do something and I'll look back on tape and I'll go, wow, I didn't realize I had done that. It came out of the drums. Dancing is about interpretation. You become the accompaniment of the music. So when you become the bass to Billie Jean, I couldn't help but do the step that I was doing when the song first starts, because that's what it told me to do. If I turn around, spin, stop, move my legs aside, and then lift up the collar of my shirt, that's for that moment in the accompaniment.
I remember watching that moment on television and just leaping out of my chair. It was so extraordinary.
Thank you very much.
It was really one of the great, great moments.
And it's all spontaneous movement. Nothing in that piece was on Billie Jean was planned but the moonwalk. Everything else was just, improvising, really.
Now we have a question from S.J. Champs, who wonders, do you think you'll do another duet with Janet?
I would love to. It just depends on the song and the time. When she's in one corner of the earth, I'm in another place. It's very rare that our ships pass in the night. So it's not easy to do because we're both very busy. But that would be very nice. I love working with her. She's a true, real professional and a wonderful sister.
Excellent. We have Chic33, who wonders, who was your idol when you were a child?
I always went nuts for... I could be asleep in Indiana at like 5 years old. I'd be asleep, and there'd be a late night, like 1 a.m, some show on. I remember seeing my mother run to my room, wake up, James Brown is on.
Wow.
I'd wake up, or Sammy Davis Jr. is playing, or Fred Astaire, they got a good Fred Astaire movie on. Gene Kelly's on right now. And I'd sit there with my eyes I'd be awestruck just watching. So when videos came out, I had a collection.
Yeah, I understand that you have an extraordinary collection of kind of old movies, of all of the performers that you like, and old music performances of the artists that you admire. Talk about some of those and some of the stuff that you've got that you like to watch.
Well, I like to before I do anything, it could be any situation. I love studying the whole history of it before I take the first step to innovate. So I love studying any vaudevillians, who came from that era, even though they didn't have TV.
Sure.
But they transcended into television later on. I love people like Jackie Gleason, Red Skelton. I'm crazy about the Three Stooges, anything Walt Disney. And as far as performers, I love Anthony Newley, you know, like I said, Jackie Wilson, James Brown.
Fantastic.
You know, they're incredible. I mean, when James Brown and the Famous Flames, he was so incredible. I would watch him and cry. I'd be crying as I'm watching him. I've never seen a person perform like that, ever.
You know, it must have been extraordinary for you as, you know, when you were young and making records and getting to meet some of your idols, you know, that must have been such a powerful experience.
Oh, it truly was. And to have them tell me that they thought I was incredible. And all my life, I thought they were like the best. It was the best compliment I could get, and no award could be given to me that could top that, you know. When Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly, who I knew very well, or Frank Sinatra, told me they think I'm amazing and I have an amazing career ahead of me. As a child, they would tell me this because they were my neighbors. They lived by me.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt very honored and happy to hear those kind of words from these legends.
Yeah, that must have been very encouraging.
Yes, very.
Now we have M. Hagreis, who is actually Margriet from the Netherlands, a 26-year-old woman, says, is it true that you'll star in Men in Black 2, and will you record a soundtrack for that film?
I don't think we're doing a soundtrack, but I did a guest appearance, like a cameo for Men in Black 2, and we were expecting to do Part 3 as well, and it was a lot of fun and exciting. And it's one of my favorite films of all time. I'm a big Men in Black fan. I love it very much.
Now, I understand you're also doing The Nightmare of Edgar Allan Poe. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that one's coming up. It's about the great, prolific American writer, Edgar Allan Poe.
Kind of a scary guy himself, too.
He's very diabolical and very dark, but he was a genius. But his own personal life is very interesting, and that's what it's about, you know. How he was, you know, what he had to go through to create such ingenious work. It's a great story. And by the way, make sure the fans know all tabloids should be out. Do not believe anything you read in a tabloid. It's garbage and it's junk. We should have a tabloid burning, like a big mountain, just set it afire.
You heard it first here from Michael Jackson.
Don't waste your time with it. It's stupid.
Now we have Rapmaster J.A. Writes in, who is actually Jason from Illinois. Says, Michael, you are undoubtedly the greatest artist in the history of the world. How do you do the moonwalk? It's the coolest move I've ever seen.
Gee, it's hard to explain on the phone, but
I can't imagine how you
I love illusion dancing. It's like walking forward and backwards at the same time, but not just walking, but as if you're on a conveyor belt. And it's hard to explain. If he was in front of me, I could show him how to do it with my fingers or with my feet, but maybe he could see at the end of the Jam video where I'm trying to show Michael Jordan how to do it step by step. That's the only time I think I showed it.
Now, we have Mark the Shark who asks, how do you do that lean on the video to Smooth Criminal?
Oh, Smooth Criminal. Well, that one happened. It was in the middle of the shoot, and it wasn't. I choreographed it right at the moment. It took us an hour to execute it. It's a special effect that we kind of lean as far as we can, and we let the conveyor belts do the rest. You know.
Now, Glenn from Toronto, Canada, asks, do you feel a special spiritual energy when you're performing? Do you feel you are connected to a higher force? Because this is what you make many people feel when they see you live.
That's exactly what it is. You're connected to a higher source, and you just go with the moment, and you become one with, you know, the spirit. And not to sound religious or anything, but it's a very spiritual, very much like religion, and it's a God-given gift. And you just go with it. And I'm honored to have been given it. And it's fun to become one with the audience. It's a oneness, you know?
I was reminded of some of that when you were talking about, the way you would work out your moves, listening to, just listening to the music and kind of disappearing into it. It has that kind of, really mystical feel.
Thank you.
Now, Charlie sends in a question. It says, what achievement in your life are you the most proud of?
Boy, one of my biggest dreams since I was really, really little, I think around 6 or 7 years old, I used to always buy the Guinness Book of World Records.
Uh-huh.
You know what the answer is going to be. I said, I love to dance and sing. Hopefully one day I could be in this book. And I believed that it was possible. So when Thriller became the biggest selling album of all time, and it was enlisted in the Guinness Book of World Records, and there's so many other lists, they've enlisted me in there like 7 different times now. It was the happiest time of my life. I was so happy.
To what do you attribute, that level of, ambition and possibility that you felt when you were a kid? I think it's sometimes hard for people to feel, either, you weren't obviously rich as a kid or, from a kind of fancy background, but still somehow you were able to envision, a life of success. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to my parents who always taught us to persevere, believe in yourself, have confidence no matter what you do. Even if you're sweeping floors or painting ceilings, do it better than anybody in the world. No matter what it is that you do, be the best at it and have respect for others and be proud of yourself and to be honorable,
Absolutely. Now, you've been making records for a long time. You've been a force on the music scene for many years. What do you think are the biggest changes in music that you've seen?
Biggest changes?
Yeah, what's changed about the music industry or about, the music that's out there? What do you think is different?
Well, I don't think people thought the rap music would last as long as it has.
Mm-hmm.
And it has gone through evolutional stages. There's more melody in it now. And it's
right.
more acceptable because melody will never die. It will never die. And the rhythms, things are a little more rhythmic now because people want to dance. It's part of the human condition. It's part of our biological makeup. Our cells dance when we hear beats.
Mm-hmm.
So notice a 1-year-old child will start moving, hearing music. How do they know to move? Because it's biological. It's not just hearing of the ear. It's feeling. And playing music, the grass and the trees and the flowers, they're all influenced by music. They become more beautiful and more vibrant in how they grow. Music is a very important and powerful substance. And all the planets in the universe make music. It's called music of the spheres. They all make a different note. They make harmony. So it's harmony even in the universe as we speak.
Now we have a question from Holland. Femke from Holland writes and says, I love the special editions from Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad and Dangerous. She loves you. And asks, why will Invincible be coming out in different colors?
Because we wanted the fans to have some fun with it and collect them. And it's a limited edition, I think. And there's albums that I love, and I would buy them 5 times, even though I have the same cover.
Uh-huh.
That's 5 times because I love that album so much. So I imagine if they did a different color or just changed the cover, I would buy it 5 more times. And we just wanted the fans to have some fun with the pictures and with the colors and just to try something a little different. That's why we did it.
Now we have TJ, who is 17 and from Australia, wants to tell you that you are still my hero. It says, how do you explain your ability to inspire so many people all around the world?
I just do what I do, and I love doing it. And I love art. I love anything in the arts. And if they're inspired by it, I feel I pray that I'm doing my job, what I'm here to do on earth. Because I love the fans. I love the kids. I love the babies. And that's what gave me my inspiration. The children, the babies, the fans. I love them very much.
Now, Michaela from Pennsylvania, who is 14, writes, Michael, I'm only 14, but I've been a fan since I was 10. You've accomplished so much, more than any artist ever. I was just wondering, if you could change one thing about your life, what would you change?
I would like to be able to go out in public and just be normal sometime without people recognizing who I am, just to get a little bit of a feeling of what it's like to, be of the regular norm, to see how things are done, to learn what people speak about when they're just casually talking. Because as soon as they see it's Michael Jackson, the conversation changes. It all becomes about me and not about the situation, the moment that's happening at the moment.
Right.
I would learn a lot from that. I don't get to see that unless I disguise myself and put on a lot of things, and then they stare at me, then it's even different. It's not the same even then. So it's a difficult thing to pull off. But tell him that's a very great question he asked.
No, that's a really interesting question, actually. We have an interesting answer as well. We have Greg from Glasgow, Scotland, wants to know, when do you plan to release the charity song, What More Can I Give?
Well, it's we're putting the final voices on, and it's coming very, very soon. We're putting it together now, the final touches. This is a very important song for the world, to give some healing and some loving and some caring to those people who were thrust into orphanage, or just within a minute of seconds they lost their parents or their loved ones,
Absolutely. What are some of the things you're looking forward to? What are your hopes for, the new year? We're coming, down to the end of the year. You have an album coming out. We've had a lot of tragedies and crises that we've all faced. Everybody's trying to keep their spirit up. When you start thinking about 2002, what kind of things come to mind for you?
Film. I love movies. To do more movies, to integrate the songs with the films, dancing, and more peace into the world. I pray for peace all the time, and the most important thing I pray for is the protection for children and babies. That's the thing that concerns me the most. I want them to be protected and to have more children's rights in the world, where children, where there's a day for children, a celebration for children, just to give them a little more attention and love.
Now, Sergey from Russia writes in, says, Michael, sing a cappella for us.
You know what? I would love to do it, but believe it or not, I've been sniffling since this interview. I woke up with laryngitis. You can hear, I witnessed that. I caught a cold from the children the other day. My children were sick, and I caught their cold. I tell her I'd love to do it when I visit their town in concert. And Speechless opens a cappella on the album. The song Speechless is one of my favorites.
So it opens with an a cappella part?
It opens and closes a cappella.
Now, we have a question here from Karen, who says that that you've helped her since she was a little kid. You've always been one to think about other people, to care for children around the world. What could we do for you, she wonders. We give you all our love, but what more could we give to you? Obviously, one of your great fans here.
When I come to town, I would love to see a children's festival, to hear children's choirs, pretty much present when I come to different countries, singing some of their favorite songs of mine. We should force and create a Children's Day, a celebration internationally, where children are honored, where parents can take their children to the movies or to the toy store or to the park, and that alone will create a bonding, because the family bond has been broken. They don't eat with their children or speak to their children much anymore or monitor their children. And I would love to see a celebration for children, a Children's Day, a holiday. We have Mother's Day, Father's Day, no Children's Day. And I would love when I come to town to just to hear them sing songs, or a parade or something. I would love that.
Now, Michael, we have one last question. It was a great pleasure talking with you. We have Emmanuel, who is 16, from the United States. Says, Mr. Jackson, what would you say to all your fans that have dreams and goals of being a star like you?
No matter what, the most powerful thing in the world is the human mind, and prayer, and belief in yourself, and confidence, and perseverance. No matter how many times you do it again until it's right. And always believe in yourself, and no matter who's around you that's being negative or thrusting negative energy at you, totally block it off. Because whatever you believe, you become.
They say that, the thing that most affects people, or the way that you can really tell, if someone's, had a successful life, is the way that they deal with success or the way that they deal with failure or challenges. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yes, and after all of that, the most important, stay humble. The humbleness that a child, like a newborn baby, has. Even though you become powerful or have power with people, with your talent, or with what Michelangelo did with sculpting, underneath all that, be as humble as a child, as a baby, and as kind and giving and loving. Never become puffed up with pride.
I think we're going to sneak in one last question here from someone called Invincible 103. Now, Halloween is coming up. Do you have plans to kind of dress up? Do you have plans for a Halloween party?
No. I was going to just go trick-or-treating, knock on some doors and get some candy. I love trick-or-treat. It's one of my favorite ones. I love dressing up like some kind of monster or something and knocking on the doors because nobody knows it's me, and I get candy.
So if Michael Jackson turns up at your door, people, sure to be nice. Have some nice things on hand for him. Well, Michael, it was a great, great pleasure talking to you. A lot of fun, and everybody wishes you the best with the new record. We're all looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Anthony DeCurtis. That was Chat with Michael Jackson here on Get Music. If you want to check out Michael's new album, which will be coming out on October 30th, it's called Invincible. You can go to michaeljackson.com and hear it online to get a first taste of it. You can also pre-order it here on Get Music. I'm Anthony DeCurtis. This is Get Music. Check us out next time.